Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
My name is Micah McCaw.
My name is Jordan McCaw.
And together we are married people, and we, to each other, as
Why do you always
previously...
mention that?
I don't know. But we do this podcast, and
we're
the
ready.
podcast
We're about
is...
to record our most uncomfortable one yet.
Well, I don't know if it's uncomfortable.
I'm
it's
uncomfortable right now.
Oh, really? Why are you so uncomfortable?
Because of this mic, and I have to talk and lean forward like this the whole time.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we kind of loan out. We
We
borrow.
don't loan out.
No, yeah, we borrow equipment from Jeremy Oliveira, and when we do that, sometimes we're at the mercy of where he has put certain mics and stuff. So this time we're on different mics and different stands, and it's not totally ideal. But think
we appreciate him letting us borrow it.
Yeah, and that is great. Sometimes the timing just doesn't work out. But I guess all of that to say that we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Micah McCaw. And the more we get, the more we don't have to rely on other people's equipment.
And I think you were about to say this before I cut you off.
Okay.
This podcast is about us covering movie franchises.
Yes, they got to have 3 or more. It's nice to rehash it every once in a while.
And we
right
are
now,
on 22.
This is the 20th Marvel movie.
20th?
Yes, and it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. And wow, I hate this movie. I think it's horrible. I think it's the worst movie in the universe.
Agreed.
Not like the worst movie in our universe, the Marvel universe. It is the second to last of the worst movies we've covered. The first being Fantastic Four that we did for the Halloween special.
Yeah.
But this one's right there. I'd rather watch Shrek the Third than watch this movie again.
Yes.
But Shrek 3 is real bad too. So we've covered some stinkers. Incredible Hulk's pretty bad. Thor 1 and 2 pretty bad. But they're kind of more watchable than this one.
Yeah.
This one is just like incredibly boring.
I would much rather watch Thor.
Yeah.
And I really didn't like them. Besides Ragnarok.
Right. Which, you could go back to our catalog and listen to those. I think kind of when we finished this movie, both the time we saw it in theaters, we were like full back into Marvel. We'd seen Infinity War, and we were like, I thought to myself, okay, they've done the first Ant-Man movie. I hated it, but now they're going to correct, and they're going to have fun with it. And the movie just doesn't have fun.
It doesn't land.
And when it does try to have fun, it's really... it's not like Guardians of the Galaxy where you're like, man, this is just a kinetic movie that has this life behind it.
Sure, I would love Ant-Man to be fun.
Because he's so fun in Avengers.
Yeah, and they capture it really well in Avengers, so it's like, it's there. Also, it's because all the main Guardians are like pretty intense. We do need another fun one. That's like low stakes feeling and all that.
Yeah.
And then it's just this big swing and a miss.
And I think this gets at like this is the movie that I would say cements the argument of like, oh, I don't like superhero movies. Like if this is the movie you watch, then yeah, you don't like superhero movies because it's so predictable. It's a bunch of other movies combined into one. With not really an interesting take on the genre at all. And it's just not good. But speaking of it, this movie is directed by Peyton Reed, who directed the first Ant-Man movie. It's produced by Kevin Feige, and we get an and on the producer. It's produced by Steven Broussard, who also did Doctor Strange, Iron Man 3, the first Avengers movie, and Hulk. Okay. Written by Chris McKenna, who wrote Far From Home, Jumanji 2, Homecoming, Lego Batman, and Community. Some episodes of Community.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And he works with Eric Summers, who has those same list of things. Paul Rudd is one of the writers. And then there's another writing pair, and it's Andrew Barrier and Gabriel Ferrari. And I didn't notice anything that they... So I didn't recognize anything that they had written.
Were those guys listed first?
The first people were Chris McKenna and Eric Summers.
So, like, does that mean that they probably wrote most of it?
I don't know how that breaks down.
The writing thing really confuses me. Like, have most of the Marvel movies had this many writers on a movie?
Usually they have at least 2. Some of them have 3 or 4.
Probably just an example of way too many writers. I'd see, like, I hear that and I'm like, oh, they just couldn't decide on anything. That's why they kept getting people like, what's your version of Ant-Man and the Wasp? And they just take a little bit from everyone's script, and this is the movie we have.
Right, because you'd imagine like Chris and Eric come in, and they're like, here's our take. We want to go get the mom from the first movie. And then like Paul Rudd comes in, and he's like, oh, I have some ideas. And he brings them to the table. And then Andrew and Gabriel are like, oh, what if we add Ghost Girl into this movie? I imagine that. I don't know that for sure. The research I did on this movie was much like the movie. There was nothing that interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Which is almost worse because with Ant-Man 1, there was so much tumultuousness that happened on the set. Not on set, but I mean like... The production. And this one... The movie plays, when you watch it, it really looks like either the producers like cut a bunch of stuff or the director like just like wasn't able to do his vision or something. It feels like something really bad in the production happened to make such a mediocre movie.
But feels like
everything I read was like Peyton Reed is like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I get a return. Can't wait to provide some more background to Hope. Can't wait to provide this. Can't wait to do that.
Yeah, but if that's an actual quote that you read where he's talking about how excited he is, that's all before everything happened. So they're working on this movie and they're like, okay, the time that you guys thought that you had to make this movie, it is cut in half. I don't know if that's true, but that's how it feels.
That is how it feels. But in my reading, I was reading quotes from pre-production, production, and post-production, and they were all like so excited and ecstatic.
I mean, maybe this movie just fell through the cracks. There's 23 of them.
Yeah,
they can't all be great or even good, I guess. How did it do though?
Well, I'm not there yet. I'm still going through the notes. The score is by Christoph Beck, who did the score for Frozen.
Beck, yeah, sure.
The Muppets movie, the Peanuts movie, the Hangover movies. And I think this score is a big thumbs down for me. It is not good. It's not a good score.
Yep.
Cinematography, Dante Spinati, who did Public Enemies, X-Men 3, and After Sunset.
The
those
Linklater movie?
No, those are before movies, so I'm not sure what After Sunset is.
I'm going to look it up.
But it's
calling you.
My sister.
After Sunset is a movie with Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, okay. What is...
He's some thief.
When did it come out?
2004.
2004, okay. Production...
Got Cheadle in it.
Oh, okay.
And Woody. And Catherine.
Who? Harrelson?
Oh, yeah.
Catherine who?
Oh, no. Salma Hayek, who I often get mixed up with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh, okay.
And Naomi Harris, who gets really big in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, okay. So it's produced by Marvel Studios, distributed by Walt Disney. The movie comes out July 6, 2018. And then now to answer your question, domestically, the movie does $216,648,740. Worldwide, it does $622,674,139.
Wait, what was the budget again?
I didn't see that, and now I have to look up the budget.
But that's okay. You don't have to.
It's I don't know. It does really middle of the road.
I mean, they made a profit. They always make a profit. But it sounds like they didn't make as much of a profit as usual, maybe?
No, it's in like the bottom 6, I think, of the whole universe.
What did critics think of this movie?
Much like all of them, it's in the green. Like people, like Metacritic, it's in green. Like in the 60s, I think. 162 million production.
Okay.
So I only have 3 interesting facts about this movie. Because, like I said, it's just Peyton Reed, which is really cool. He's just like so passionate about it. But I just don't, all the quotes were not interesting to me because I didn't feel like the things he's talking about that were like exciting to him. I don't feel like those translate to the movie.
Okay.
So the Quantum Tunnel was the largest set that has been in an MCU movie. Like the largest physical set.
Even bigger than Endgame?
The largest physical set. Most of that stuff's like green screen and stuff like that. So that was like, that's an actual set, I guess. That's just a quote. And this came out before Endgame, so maybe there's something... I can't think of anything that's as big as that, though, in the movie.
I saw a set in Endgame that looked really big. I mean, there was still green screen, but of what wasn't green screen, I was actually surprised.
Oh, you like the in battle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised how like a lot of that was looked. I'm just I thought all of that was CG when I saw the movie, just good CG. A lot of it isn't. So much talk of uniqueness and getting into the meat of the characters. Oh, okay. Skip that. And then my final note is Peyton Reed is returning to direct the third Ant-Man movie. So
bummer, man.
Yeah, that's the production. And listener, this might be a short episode because I don't have much to say about this crappy movie. What do you want to say?
We also have Lawrence Fishburne. Also, this is the first time I'm saying this. We didn't pause it.
Yeah, we didn't have to pause it and replace a chord.
We have Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
He is in Matrix and John Wick, among thousands of other things.
Thousands, huh? Did you count them?
No.
Okay.
That's how it feels, though.
It does.
And he's good. He's great.
I love Fishburne.
He's phoning it in on this performance, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Then we have Hannah John Kamen, who plays Ava or Ghost.
Oof.
She has also been in Ready Player One, Black Mirror, Killjoys, and apparently, she is. She's in Game of Thrones, Ornella, for those who listen to this who might have seen that show.
So before you get to the next person, can we bring up our discussion that we had back with Hela? Why can't the MCU do good girl villains? What is up with that?
I know.
I mean, and this one, it feels like the motive should be there. Oh, no, not really, because she's just kind of mad for what seems like no reason. I know she's in pain, but I mean, it just seems like, if you just maybe work with these scientists, they'll help you. They seem to be pretty nice people.
We'll get into it.
But yeah, it's kind of weird. I want a good girl villain.
Yep. Then we have Michelle Pfeiffer.
The Fifes.
She, before this movie, 2017, was kind of a big year for her.
Okay.
She's in Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that horrible performance.
Who is she?
She's just one of the people on the train, and she does the big long monologue at the end of the movie explaining that they all did it. Oh my gosh, that is a very good bad movie to watch, because that movie...
I don't know, it's just boring though. It's not that entertaining.
I mean, Preston and I found it pretty entertaining. That's like a good... It's so bad.
I'm gonna jump forward.
Yeah, keep going.
She's also in Mother.
Mother, yes. I like her performance in that movie.
She's also in a TV movie with Robert De Niro called Wizard of Lies, and it must be about Bernie Madoff because...
Oh, okay.
She's Ruth Madoff.
Okay.
Is her name Bernie?
Yeah, Bernie Madoff, yeah.
Okay. And then Where is Kyra, which I've never heard of. But it's got Kiefer Sutherland in it.
Uh-huh.
Where's he been? Where have you been, Kiefer?
He was in that show that was on ABC, I think, called Designated Survivor or something like that, where like the president and everyone else dies.
No, dude, do movies. You don't have to do TV anymore.
He's a TV guy.
I know he is, but he's been in some good movies.
He has, but I think he never broke through the mold of that, really.
Well, I mean, it's gonna kill me because I gotta find out what it is.
Phone booth?
No, it's one of his. It's an early Kiefer Sutherland role.
Is it the vampire movie?
Yeah, what's it called? The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys. I have not seen that. No.
I mean, I remember I've only seen it once, and it was because my mom really liked it.
Yeah.
And
that seems like a Tammy movie.
I mean, it is just a huge blast from the past.
Yeah.
It is such an entertaining movie. I don't remember if it's good or not, but gosh darn it, I'd watch that movie again. Gosh darn
it if it's not fun.
And then we also have Walton Goggins, who plays a role in this movie. I'm doing a lot of back.
Oh, what is the name of his character?
Sonny Birch. Because he does say it a lot in the movie. He's in Lincoln. He is in The Hateful Eight. Django.
Yeah.
He and among other things. So I feel like Lincoln on. I mean, I'm sure he's been in other stuff before that, but I feel like Lincoln on. He has been like a little gem in anything he's been in.
Oh yeah,
and you always remember him.
Well, and he is when used properly. He's the kind of guy where, you know, when you're at a restaurant and you get a dish and you're not sure of everything that's in there, and you go, "Ooh, this is a little bit spicy," but it's like the good kind of spice. Like, I didn't realize the dish was going to be spicy, but I'm into this.
That's Walton Goggins.
That's Walton Goggins.
He also looks...
Goggins.
He reminds me of Jim Carrey a lot.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
A lot.
They could be brothers in a movie.
They could be. Why aren't they?
Let's put that on the slate of our first ever Macabre Podcast Universe movie. It's going to be them two.
I don't want to work with Jim Carrey.
Oh. No, I know. He's in an odd place right now.
Yep.
Is that what you got?
Yep.
Let's jump into the plot of this movie.
Fine.
So the movie starts with narration by Michael Douglas.
Oh, wait, can I just jump in with something?
Please.
It pertains to all of this.
I'm sure it does.
Something that I feel like they could have done better on throughout this series is...
Well, for the listener, I'm just nodding. I don't know what she's going to say. I'm just nodding my head because I'm like, yep, if it involves this movie, it could have been better.
Well, Civil War is about the Sokovia Accords.
Yes.
Which affects everyone we've dealt with in this series.
Yeah.
So I feel like post everything that movie, I feel like they could have done a better job at like reminding us that happened beyond saying Sokovia. Because sometimes that's all they say.
I like
and
this.
There's so many movies and there's so many names that sometimes it's been like, is that a person or a place or what?
That's
I don't know what that is.
a really good point, Jordan.
Because like in this movie, Michael Douglas and Hope, I almost called her Faith. You just know that they're like really upset and not on speaking terms with Paul Rudd, and you're just like, how did the last movie
end? And you find out like
end?
30 minutes in why they're mad.
It takes you so long, and then you find out like it's because of the Sokovia Accords and how it basically has affected them.
Yeah,
and the choices they've made because of it. But it's like they just could have done that. Why didn't they say that earlier? I mean, they didn't even say Sokovia at that time. They just said they weren't on speaking terms, which like makes, I don't know if anyone else felt this way, but it's like, did the last movie end like really poorly between them? Because
I know, I was confused.
When in Civil War, when Ant-Man goes to Germany, like Michael Douglas and Faith, or Hope. And Hope are like, have no
They're not in the
role
movie.
At all.
They're not in the movie at all.
So you just don't even think that, because it's at the end of Ant-Man, it's like, he's Ant-Man. Like that is his suit now. Like that is that's just what you think. So him going to Germany and doing that, it's like, yeah, it's Ant-Man. And they like Falcon thought to get him.
Yeah. And it all lines up. It makes sense.
So then in this movie, you find out like Michael Douglas is all like, that's not your suit. You took the suit and it's not yours and all this stuff. And it's like, I thought you guys were like all buds by the end of that movie.
Yeah.
And like, it's like he earned the suit.
Also, the one thing I will say though, to counter your point, kind of devil's advocate, is they do a good job of showing some consequences because he's on parole for the movie because of the Sokovia Accords.
It took me like 15 minutes to figure that out.
Absolutely agree with you, but they did actually have a little bit of consequence, which is kind of nice. But the whole Hope and whatever his name is, Hank Pym thing is like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
So it's like, yeah, he's on house arrest. And for me, maybe I just need to pay attention more or something. Maybe people are just like listening to this right now and they're like, come on, it's so obvious. But like,
we've been watching these in pretty close succession, and in all the other
Succession, the TV show on HBO.
Sidebar, this show rules. Okay, sidebar over. But I think that like you and I have picked up on a lot of stuff we miss, and we go, oh, that's so cool. And this time you're turning to me and you're like, wait, what is going on? And I go, I don't know. And then they say it, and I'm not like, oh, the Sokovia Accords, that's cool. I'm like,
well, it's
oh, whatever. I don't
that
care.
The movie starts and he is on house arrest.
Yeah.
And I can't think. But it's just like, well, okay, he's like a cat burglar. Maybe he slipped up.
Right. Right.
I mean, that's the first thing I think of. I don't think of what he did to, like, how the Sokovia Accords are continuing to affect him. Mm-hmm. Was he on Captain America? Oh, he was, because Falcon was. So I understand that, like, yeah, so technically he was against the Sokovia Accords, so he is in trouble for that. I get it.
Yeah.
But you got to say more than Germany.
Yeah.
Because most people don't ever, like, know that that's where that fight took place.
Also, it's kind of weird because remember at the end of Civil War, not to go too far in the weeds in this, but at the end of Civil War, they put the people they captured in that prison in the ocean, but he gets house arrest?
Good point, man. Good point.
I don't get that.
I think that a lot of stuff happened off screen / in this movie, they really relied on you remembering those things. When not only has it been movies since that, it has also been time.
It's been 3 years, I think, since
Civil War. Let's be honest, no one's rewatching Ant-Man unless they're doing it for a podcast. So no one's going to remember how that movie ended.
Yes. Okay, have we finished the Sokovia?
I think so.
Okay. I think that was a really good point, though, that I totally didn't even think about. Good job, Jordan. Love you.
I love you too.
Okay, so the movie starts with Michelle Pfeiffer de-age, because this movie has an obsession with de-aging all the actors.
I'd say the franchise.
Yeah, but this one has 3 separate ones. Because it's got Lawrence Fishburne, her, and Michael Douglas, and I'm like, okay, we get it.
Wasn't Ant-Man the first movie to do de-aging too?
I think it was. Yeah, so they're doing that, and you see Michelle Pfeiffer's going out, and then it's the old Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they stop the nuclear bomb that they already talked about in Ant-Man 1. Now, right away, you're thinking, okay, the plot is they're going to go get the mother in the quantum realm. That's a cool plot to a movie. I like that. Maybe stick to that one thing instead of adding the 2 other things that they're going to add.
You know
because
why,
that would have been cool.
You know why? Because it's like, so the first movie, you introduce these characters, and they do change. Like that, a story, they have to change because it's a story. The second movie really gives them the opportunity to dive into them as a person. But because they have this ghost dumb thing happening, it doesn't allow them to fully explore these characters.
Boom. Can I throw a pitch at you?
Yeah.
This would have been a better movie and way more fun. So the movie is like, which I've kind of pitched with you, but I have a more clear idea. So it starts with that. And we don't do the narration because the narration at the beginning of the movie is so expository, but not in a good way. Yeah. It is like, we get it. I'm seeing the images. You don't have to explain them. Like, shut up. But the movie is Hope and Hank come to Scott, and they're like, we got to get Mom. We think she's in there. And he goes, okay. And him and Hope go in. Scott and Hope go into the quantum realm. And 2/3 of the movie, they're in the quantum realm, and it is an adventure fantasy movie. A la, like, Journey to the Center of the Earth kind of stuff. Like, really weird creatures, and they have to use their powers to fight like creatures, not people. Something we have not really seen in the universe. That sounds so interesting to me. And then they're getting there. You
know how we know it works? Because of Guardians.
Yeah, you can do weird stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so they're doing that, and then they get, like, beaten down or whatever. And then Hank Pym standing out there, that's the original Ant-Man, like, comic book. Hank Pym, that's the guy. He's like, you know what? I got to get in the suit and get in there and help him. So you have the, like, fan moment where, like, he puts on the suit, he goes in, and he saves him and finds his wife. And that's the movie. And then you've introduced the quantum realm so that you can do that for Endgame without making it a trailer for Endgame, like in this movie, how they're like, pay attention, you have to know this because of Endgame, but for no other reason do you need to watch this movie. That would have been such a fun
Holy crap,
movie.
Micah, that's a really good idea. Kevin, are you listening?
And even if they wanted to mess with, like, the quantum realm being time travel, maybe they have to go back and there's, like, dinosaurs they have to fight or something cool like that. I don't know.
That's so freaking cool.
Like, anything that's weird. But this movie, it's like they settled on doing a comedy heist movie. But once again, like Ant-Man 1, they don't commit to the comedy and they don't commit to the heist. So it's just a wish-washy, boring movie.
And they focus way too heavily on the science.
Oh my gosh.
When they're dealing with theoretical things.
Yes.
It's like they're trying to make theoretical things fact.
Yes.
And yeah. For science fiction, it's just kind of boring.
It's really boring. And another thing I'm going to throw out, and then we're just going to speed through the plot. But another thing is the movie, the way the cinematography is so incredibly boring. And there's a lot of Marvel movies where the cinematography is not that interesting. But this one is like, the shots are just... They don't have they don't look like a movie. This is the movie that really looks like it should be airing on TV.
Yeah.
It does not look like a movie.
Yeah.
And the shots are not wide enough. It's not artistic enough. And then the other thing is they do this thing that I finally noticed, and this is why I think the acting in the movie looks so bad, is every single conversation in the movie has 1 to 4 reaction shots where actors are just like looking and they're kind of smirking or something. And you're like, yeah, you don't have to show me every single time that they're reacting. Like, be selective with those so they actually have power. Like, Spielberg does reactions all the time. but it's to accent something, not just to show an actor like smirking for no reason.
Reaction shots are so important.
They're so important, but if you overuse them,
yeah. Calm down. Okay, so we have the beginning, and then we go to Paul Rudd at home.
Hanging out with his daughter.
Hanging out with his daughter in a pretty cool fort, I have to say.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
You find out that, what's that guy's name? What's his friend's name?
Michael Pena. I don't know the character name.
That's who I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Michael Pena, you find out that like throughout this whole time, Paul Rudd and him have started a surveillance, like a security surveillance company.
That's fun.
Sure. Yeah. Could have used it more, I think. So they started the surveillance company, which is so funny. I don't really know how house arrest works or anything, but I always think of things like, how is he paying for anything right now? And then to me, it's like, cool, they took care of that question that always pops into my head.
Oh, yeah, because like the business is going under?
No, just that he has income, period. Like he has to be at home, but he can still work.
Yes.
It's just a nitpicky thing that always something I wonder.
Yeah, I get that.
So they've started a business together. So he's on house arrest, and like life seems pretty normal for him. Fun because he gets to see his daughter probably on weekends or whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And then the only thing is that he's just really bored. And obviously he is not talking to Hank or Hope, which means he can't do any Ant-Man stuff.
Yeah.
But how could he, because he's under house arrest too.
Well, and they do a raid. The FBI does a raid of his house because his ankle monitor went out of a fence. And then this guy shows up who's the best performance of the movie.
Oh, totally. He's so good.
But he basically does this. He goes, "Hi, Scott," and the audience who's watching this movie. "Here's what happened up from Civil War to now. Let me tell you about it in a minute and a half." And it's just like so unnatural.
And he's funny.
But he is funny. Like he makes up for it because he's so funny.
The expository thing.
But it's like everything in this movie is just like exposition after exposition. And you're like, how much information do I have to retain? Yeah,
definitely. He's funny though.
He's very funny. He gets the best performance from me besides Tim Heidecker.
Yeah.
So then Hope steals him away, and
okay. Before that, he like has a vision of Hope's mom.
Oh.
And it's like he almost says like it's like he has a dream, and it's like I feel like I was her or something like that. So he calls her, and then she kidnaps him, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I am under house arrest. You can't do this." And you find out that they put his ankle thing on an ant,
and they made the ant human size.
Not enough ant time.
Program it to act like him, which I don't know. I'm like, for a movie that's so obsessed with science, it's like, can you just either be like too crazy or like not crazy? Because you don't. It's like the movie's so obsessed with science, and then there's an ant walking around his house pretending to be him. Like, pick a lane, Michael.
I would prefer them to just go all out.
I would like the all out,
because it's a Marvel movie. Have fun.
That's what I would say. But I'm like, even if you're gonna go to that level, like go to that level and stop wasting time on like making it realistic.
If I want hard science, I will watch Interstellar.
Yeah, or The Martian.
Yeah,
you know,
or not. But
yeah, I don't want to watch that again. But there's the quantum machine.
So she kidnaps him because it's like, oh, now you're useful. You can help us because apparently you know where my mom is. Mm-hmm. So then they try to explain to him this quantum stuff, and there is a little bit of a joke where he's like, "Huh? English, please?" And it's like they're still explaining it though as if you're supposed to understand, and you're just like, don't know.
Yeah.
So then, but you do find out they need this part or whatever. So then they meet Walton Goggins.
Well, but before that, one thing that I want to add is that when he's relaying the memory of him, like he has this memory of being Hope's mom, and he sees her hide in a wardrobe, and Hope starts like crying, and Michael Douglas is kind of crying, and they're like, "Wait, so you saw her?" And then Hope goes, Was it a wardrobe I hid in?" And he goes, "Yeah, it was a wardrobe." And she goes, was it red?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then she says, "That's where I hid every time we played hide and seek," which means Hope is the worst hide and seek player in the world.
Or she just likes to get caught.
And it's just stuff like that where it's like, couldn't you have thought of something? I've said this 1,000 times on this podcast. I don't like being nitpicky about like plot elements, but that's just bad writing.
Do you think it's not very original?
No, I think that's fine. It's just like, why couldn't you think of something more specific besides her always hiding in the same place during hide and seek? That's stupid. This character's an idiot. Like, I just find that to be so dumb. And because I dislike the movie so much, I'm like, I pick up on that more.
I think you can spin it to, yeah, she always hid there and her mom always knew to look there. And that was the fun of it. That was like a bonding. It was the bonding moment every time between her and her mom, where it's like, honey, I'll always be there for you and find you. And then in this movie, she has to find her. She has to find her mom. Her mom's playing hide and seek. This is real. This is a real revelation I'm having.
Yeah. Well,
movie's still bad.
Kind of like when the opposite team scores. Boo.
Sure. Okay. Press ahead. They have to go meet Walton Goggins because he's a technology trader.
Yeah.
Which is like...
And he's cool. He does a good performance in the movie.
Job sounds just not that fun.
Would love to see him in future movies.
Sure. Yeah. So he... Yada, yada, yada. She's like, I want this. And he's like, okay, you have to do this for it. I don't want to do it. Okay, I guess you're not going to get it, but still give me the money. And she's like, I'm not doing anything now, but I'm going to take this briefcase. I don't mean to have that voice to sound like an annoying girl. I'm just doing an annoying voice. So then there's this fighting his minions. And then
Fight's pretty decent. They're using their powers in fun ways.
She goes into the kitchen and she's small and it's cool.
Yeah.
That stuff's cool.
And I turned to Jordan and I'm like, why can't the movie be this?
The whole time. That'd be great. It'd be cool too if like, think about an entire movie. Because like throughout this movie, Ant-Man's suit is kind of broken. Mm-hmm. And he can't totally control it. Just like an entire movie where it's Honey, I Shrunk Ant-Man.
See, that's my other pitch for the movie is like, What if they like come on house arrest? I'm making this up on the spot. And they're like, where is the guy? He must have escaped. And he's like little and he's stuck in his own house the whole movie. That's the plot of the movie. And he's just trying to like get big again so he can get off house arrest. What if that was the movie?
I would love it. I would love it. Because we've already, my opinion.
Yeah.
I've already expressed like, I want this movie to be fun. Yeah. We have a lot of really intense ones. And those are amazing. But we have Guardians, which are equally intense as it is funny.
Yes.
This movie can just be funny. Why can't it just be funny?
Imagine he's stuck in the carpet.
You're telling me there's not a comic issue where that's the
I'm
story?
sure there's probably a whole run where it's like Ant-Man just stuck in like a park.
Yeah.
Like that would be fun.
Yeah.
This movie's not fun.
No.
So they have their fight and all that crap.
That's when the ghost comes in and they're like, what is this thing? I don't know what this thing is.
Cool design costume, as you pointed out.
Amazing. I was like actually excited to see this movie because in the trailers I was like, that villain looks so cool. Yeah. Probably the worst villain. Worse than Helena. Hela.
Yeah.
Worse
definitely.
than Hela and Thor. And surprisingly, by a long shot.
Oh,
because I really didn't like Hela.
Oh, yeah. Hey, she's better in this one.
So does she steal the part? I think she
steals
takes
the briefcase, and then they go to Lawrence Fishburne, and you find out that Michael Douglas and Lawrence Fishburne used to hang out together.
And do science stuff. And then they had a huge falling out.
Yeah, literally huge because he got really big, Goliath. Anyway, then I don't even remember why they go there. They just need help, like, tracking something.
Maybe, like, he can find a part for them or something.
And then they have to go get Ant-Man's suit, which his daughter has, and he goes to school, and he gets shrunk to kid size. I'm talking to Ant-Man. That part, again, I'm like, why isn't the movie this? This is really funny. He's a little kid in a sweatshirt size, and Hope's, like, laughing at him.
Classic Adam Sandler hijinks.
Yeah, that's funny stuff.
Just kidding.
And then we find Ghost Girl's house, and she's in,
find out
like,
Lawrence Fishburne has been, like helping her.
Science dad.
He's been her science dad because you find out in just a terrible flashback that's just not
really
interesting.
Bad
it's just not interesting. Where her dad was some scientist and he did something and it blew up and all this. It just spread her atoms apart. So she can't totally be whole. And it's just the older she's getting, the worse it's going to be until it sounds like she'll just be nothing.
Yeah, something
I don't really
like
know.
That.
And so she's trying, like Lawrence Fishburne thinks that he can help her and fix her. Mm-hmm. So that's what their motive is. Don't care. Mostly because she is such a bad actress.
At least in this movie.
Such a bad job.
Like her choices are really weird.
So bad.
And not weird cool.
No. And I think she's going for that.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
Because it's like, you think,
can we do another
like,
take, please?
Why can't she just be tortured? Like, she's an orphan and her atoms are splitting apart or something.
Yeah.
But instead, like when she captured Hope, Hank, and Paul Rudd, and Paul Rudd wakes up and she's just kind of like being a little like, not, what's the right word? She's just like smiling and like being menacing and all this stuff. Yeah. And it's like, why can't you just be tortured?
Yeah. Pick
and
a lane.
Not talk so much. Pick
a lane. That's what this series should be called. Pick a lane. The Ant-Man series.
Yeah.
Then there's something with like truth serum, and there's jokes about truth serum.
I thought those were funny.
And those were funny. That's one of the rare funny parts. They did a classic
Michael Pena talking really fast, and they go back in time with that stuff. Because they did it in the first movie, right?
Yeah, and that's great.
Funny.
That's great.
Yeah.
Then there's the part where... I mean, I know we're skipping stuff, people, but I'm just so uninterested in this movie. But there's the part where Janet, who's Michelle Pfeiffer, like is inside Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
When they're trying to get into the quantum realm.
Yeah.
I hate that scene.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I hate that scene.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense either. I don't know. The quantum connection is like, what? What? I don't...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's just such a script thing.
Is the only reason because, you know, she can go into him is because in the first movie he went into the quantum realm briefly?
That's what they said.
Okay.
But it's one of those like, you know, when we rewatch Guardians 1, you're like, oh, they kind of like planted the dad stuff, but it's really natural to the story. Uh-huh. This one's, it's like they watch Ant-Man and they're like, oh, that's kind of sort of a connection. Let's just contrive it in the plot and make it worse.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where it's like they could just... I don't know. They could just go in and try and find her.
Yeah.
Or he could have seen her when he was in the quantum realm, and that's it. I don't know. This visions thing is stupid. Dumb. FBI raids again.
Oh, and that's funny because Paul Rudd's ex-wife or girlfriend, I actually never know if they were married or not.
They were married, I think. Oh, I don't know. But Judy Greer, person who shows up for 5 minutes in a movie.
Actress. It's just funny because her role this entire movie is FBI shows up and it's like, you have no right to be here. This is like invasion of privacy. And it's like, lady, this is exactly within their rights. They couldn't be more within their rights.
It's actually like a constitutional thing. They can do this.
Yeah. So it's just like clear, like just don't put her in the movie if you had nothing for her to do. Because now she just looks whiny. And it's like, we don't need another whiny girl in a movie. So just don't put her in it.
Yeah.
And they huge missed opportunity too. Like I said when we were watching it. What's that guy's name again?
Bobby something.
Her boyfriend, husband, whatever. Just love him. He's
such a great actor.
He's such a great actor. He's funny. He's use funny. It. He wasn't funny this movie because he was maybe had 2 lines. So it was just like, how come you didn't use him way more?
Yeah.
Not like in the whole movie, but just like more than 2 lines. You have him.
He's
so
great.
Use him.
I mean, isn't he the guy in the other guys who says, "You shot Jeter"?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He's great.
He's also
I love
in
that guy.
Tanya.
He's in a great role in I, Tanya.
Yeah, he's super good.
He probably filmed in like a day.
Yeah,
but
probably.
It's awesome. Then Hope and Hank are arrested, and then Scott breaks him out, and it's like, oh, now they're friends again because Scott helped him, and then they have a ghost fight.
And this is when they have only 2 hours to get Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
That's a very short amount of time for the situation that they got themselves into.
Right. And again, it's the reason that they have to get her in that time frame is because the contrived script made them do it in that time frame.
Don't understand, and I think it's because they got really like scientific about it. So we're well into third act.
Yeah.
Hank makes his way into quantum realm. And we know that he
makes his way into quantum realm.
Hope and Paul Rudd need to like get him out of it. Like they have to be there to like push a button.
Yeah, yeah.
So we know that. But meanwhile, Ghost Girl is like there and she's about to do something. I don't know what it is, but apparently whatever it will do will kill Michelle Pfeiffer. Don't know how, don't know why. I guess you're just asking me to trust you, which I am not. I haven't trusted you since the beginning of this movie because I don't understand how any of it works.
Yeah.
Also, it's just like, who cares that she's here? Hank getting Michelle Pfeiffer and bringing her back, that's dramatic enough, I think.
Yeah.
So why do we need this element in it? And then there are more giant ants though in that scene, and I'm into that. But so like she's doing something, and then Hope and Paul Rudd show up and like stop her. And then
wait,
Hank,
who do they stop? I'm sorry.
The ghost girl.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
Hank and Michelle Pfeiffer make it back. And then Michelle Pfeiffer goes up to the ghost girl and is like, "You were in so much pain, and I recognize that.
Let me touch you and make you feel better."
And it's like,
what?
It's like, okay, Michelle, I got a couple questions for you now. You have been in this quantum realm. Okay, so apparently, from what I understand in this quantum realm and the universe of Marvel.
Yes, let's hit this hard.
That time is not the same as our time. No one experiences time in the same way as we're experiencing it right now. We know that because in Endgame, Paul Rudd was only in the quantum realm for 5 hours, and it had been 5 years.
Yeah, so an hour a year. Now, maybe that's not a hard and fast rule. I don't even know if that's
true for everyone.
Maybe it's not, but
no.
But
so
there's
Michelle
something
Pfeiffer,
weird.
It's been like, let's say 20, 30, or 25 years she's been in here. It looks like she aged 25 years because she, to serve the story, she needs to continue to be as old as Hank so that they can still be married and she can still be in the series.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Why couldn't she be the same age or like older, like way older than him? Like she could be way older than him and still be alive. Another thing I don't get. How come she goes in there in her suit, quantum realm, and we go into the quantum realm, people, because Hank goes in there and we follow him.
Quantum realm is one of the few visually cool things in the movie. Like it a lot.
Because it's the quantum realm and it's not our universe and our reality, how come she's wearing like a robe?
A survivalist ripped up robe?
Where does she find that? In the quantum realm. And she's still like, I think she might still be in her suit, although I'm not really sure. Did she?
No, her suit looked kind of like the Wasp.
Come equipped with survivalist garb?
No, and I wouldn't buy it if they told me that.
Also, this is very nitpicky what I'm about to say. But her hair looks great. Mm-hmm. It's also, for some reason, like if she's aged in 25 years and she's in the quantum realm, how does she get it to look that great still? Yeah. How come she has makeup on?
Yeah.
I don't get it. And I know that part of it is it's pretty nitpicky. It's but it's like watching a fantasy, like a medieval movie and everyone's teeth are clean.
Well, it's also that thing when like you know in a movie when a character like, for example, I don't know that this is in a movie, but I'm just gonna say Brad Pitt like walks up to someone after being in a fight and he looks exactly like Brad Pitt looks, and they're like, "Oh man, you look tired and really worn out," and you're like, "What?
Yeah,
I've never looked that good in my life."
Yeah.
I hate in movies when like they should look worn down. And I think a lot of times, this is my own theory, I think a lot of times the actors are not willing to look that bad on screen.
Totally. Well, that's why it's always like, and I know we're not talking to this degree, but it's like, oh, she went ugly for the role. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about, please, like, give us a little bit of practicality. So if her hair still looks nice, although it's a different colored hair, she still has makeup on, whatever. But shouldn't that mean like maybe it's only been 3 hours?
Yeah. Or what if it's like Mad Max, where Charlize Theron looks pretty rough, but she looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
In the whole movie. Or maybe if she's supposed to look nice, maybe there's a reason for it. Like in Mad Max, those girls look really good. Well, so but it's because they are symbolizing purity.
Are you telling me that in the quantum realm there is a place to go get your hair done and buy makeup and eat food?
Well,
eat food?
They do.
It's been 25 years, so apparently she's been sustaining herself on something.
But Jordan, they do have an Ulta and a Burger King inside the quantum realm.
Well, fine. Let's just end the podcast right now, then.
But what we do need to talk about is there is a car chase scene where they do use the mechanics of like people getting big and small. That stuff is cool. Once again, I wish the whole movie was this.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
And Stan Lee has a car that shrinks in front of him, and he says, "Man, the 60s were fun, but it's starting to take a toll," or something like that.
Pretty dang funny.
Great cameo.
Really good cameo.
And then the best part of the movie, you'll have to listen to our other episode to hear us talk all about it, but Tim Heidecker is in this movie for 2 shots, and he is the whale man, and he has a whale boat. And the movie gets a pass because they had Tim Heidecker in it to continue their whole on cinema craziness.
They can keep making these movies if it serves the on cinema universe.
Yeah, they need to get Mark Proch in the third one. That would be the best thing.
Unbelievable. And then when they get Mark Proch, they have to get Dekar bandmates.
Oh my gosh.
And then Joe Estevez. He should be a main character. Like he should actually be the president in one of the movies. That would be great.
Like an alternate universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, and after the movie, Tim Heidecker posted a bunch of screen caps of a Whale Man 2020 movie and how Marvel had decided to go forward with Whale Man movies, spin-off movies. So that's kind of the movie, right? I mean, is there anything else in this movie?
Sorry about the Flash.
That's okay.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
I mean, he gets really big, and his heart almost fails, and then that's kind of it.
Yep.
And then they go into the quantum realm, or he goes into the quantum realm, and they all turn to dust, setting us up for Endgame, which is really the only scene you need to watch in this movie.
Yep.
And even that, you don't even need to watch it. You can just see Endgame, and you'll be like, okay, I figured.
Yep.
Okay. Really hard pass from me. I do not like this movie. This is my least favorite of every movie. It's worse than The Incredible Hulk. I would rather watch Hulk.
Hulk is entertaining.
And Hulk has something to latch on to, at least for the first 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
You're like, this is kind of interesting, even though it's cheesy and bad.
Yeah.
You're like,
totally.
It's kind of interesting. This is just middle of the road mediocrity, like studio filmmaking.
I think this movie solidifies what I think about Michelle Pfeiffer as an actress, because we talked about this.
Oh, this is a hot take.
Where every time I hear that she's going to be in a movie, I'm pretty excited. It's just like, cool. I like Michelle Pfeiffer, but I was thinking about it, and every movie I've seen her in, she's mostly a dud. So I'm like, what movie did I see that she was in it that I really liked?
Yeah, I don't really like her.
I guess maybe I should look through her filmography, because it's like, I don't think I like her that much.
I definitely don't.
She's confusing. And she's Catwoman.
Yeah, and everyone says that performance is so good, but we rewatched that movie this year, and I don't think her performance is very good.
That movie is just so outrageous.
It's insane.
Everyone's performance is just blinded by how outrageous just the movie is.
It's only better than this movie because it at least tries to do some interesting stuff, even though it kind of sucks.
I would love to rewatch that movie every time over this movie.
Oh, yeah.
That movie it's not a great movie, but it's like I think it's still kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. You know what's funny, too, is I remember when we decided to start this podcast about a year ago, we were like, okay, what are we going to start with? And you were like, we got to do Marvel. And I'm like, okay, you're right, because that kind of sets the format of what we're going to do. But I remember we both talked about, we were like, that means one of these days we're going to have to rewatch Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
We watched it, but we finally got here. We made it through the crud.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah.
We talked thoroughly about it. It's bad. It's bad. I think this is actually one of our better episodes just because you get to hear us like railing on a movie.
Well, the good thing about not liking something, like in terms of this format, it's like, don't just talk about why you think it's bad. Don't just say it's bad. It's like, sometimes it's more interesting to talk about what you think is bad, because sometimes you're like, this is how you fix it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's more fun to talk about than a movie you really liked.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
I hope Peyton Reed listened to this.
And Peyton, if you do listen to it, like, great job, and we'd love to have you on the pod, and we'll rescind everything we said if you want to guest star on the Ant-Man.
I stand my ground.
If you want to guest star on Ant-Man 3.
I stand my ground, Peyton, but would love to talk to you.
Wouldn't it be cool if this ever did get big enough where we could have like someone who is like directed a movie?
I would.
Or something like that. Like a big movie. Like
I wouldn't even know what to do.
I would be so cool.
Scared. I'd be so scared.
What if it just became normal, though?
I don't know. I mean, I've interviewed one famous person in my life, and that was so scary.
Who was it?
Nick Offerman.
Yeah, on the phone.
One of the nicest people I've ever talked to, but I was so scared.
Well, we did... I'm not going to spoil it, but when we start our next series, we do have a guest who's actually a friend of ours, but he has some expertise in the field of what the movie is. So we are going to have our first guest here in a couple of weeks. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks
for listening to us yell a lot. And
rate, review, subscribe.
We hope that you got something out of it.
Yeah,
and
I hope
share with
so.
your friends whether or not they like Marvel, because if they like movies,
they're going to like the podcast.
Like talking about movies, and maybe they like to listen to people talking about it.
Yeah, this was a good one. This was fun. Next week is Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Bye.